Hey up everyone, Magpie Gaming here, I hope you're all doing well. So in the recent Tarkov TV podcast, Nikita spoke about several different things that were going on in the Escape from Tarkov universe at the moment, and I did a quick breakdown of that video, of that podcast, but there was a lot of information that was put out there, so I said I would do more detailed videos on some of the things that he spoke about. So in this video we're going to talk about the move over to Unity 2021, which will be happening pretty soon. But first of all, you've got to go back a couple of years to have a look at the timeline of Unity. Now, I think originally the game was developed in, I think it was Unity 5.3, which was a very, very old version of the game. In 2020, they moved over to Unity 2018. This was a huge undertaking for the team at the time. They'd never moved over to a new version of Unity as far as I was aware. Definitely, I think the community had never been made aware that they were moving over to a new version of Unity, so I think this was the first time that they did it. Now, I do remember that year there was very little content that came out for the game. Obviously, you're not going to create content in an older version of the engine when you're going to upgrade, so any content that was being made at that point was being made in the newer version of Unity, but obviously they couldn't release it because it's not backwards compatible. So it was a very quiet year that year, but eventually they moved over, and to begin with, us as players didn't really notice too much of a difference. Now, one of the reasons that they use what's known as an older version of Unity, obviously they're going to move over to Unity 2021 soon, but it's 2023, so why aren't they using the very latest version? Well, the reason for that is because the very latest versions are usually buggy. They're maybe not compatible with some of the things that they want to add into the game, so they tend to stay away from those until they become more stable, which is usually after a couple of years of testing by other people and by Unity themselves. So this is why the actual latest version that they're on is always a couple of years behind the very latest version that they have out. So that year they moved over to Unity 2018. The following year in 2021 they moved over to Unity 2019, which wasn't much of an undertaking. You know, the big step moving over to 2018 was, you know, the huge one for them, but moving then over to 2019 wasn't really that much of a hardship for Battlestate Games, I don't think. But initially when they moved over to 2018, as I say, as the players didn't notice too much difference, the game just carried on running as it always had. We'd maybe have the odd bug here and there, which is par for the course in Escape from Tarkov, but eventually we started to see the benefits of this. So we had things like NVIDIA Reflex. They were able to add that into the game. They were able to add DLSS in. They was able to add FSR in, and they've been able to slowly incrementally upgrade those technologies as they've gone along. We also saw the inclusion of Steam audio into the game. Now, I know that that was a big debacle really in the Escape from Tarkov landscape, but the point is that with that newer version of Unity they were able to put that into the game, although they were never able to really get it properly implemented. But the point is it allows them to add these new technologies in, so we as players do eventually see a benefit from them moving over to these newer engines. So this time around we're going to be moving over to Unity 2021, which is a huge step for Battlestate Games. The reason it is a huge step is because they've took the decision to rewrite some of the core code of the game, which is a massive thing for Escape from Tarkov to do. I think this is probably one of the biggest undertakings that they've ever done, and one of the reasons that they've done this is that no matter what version of Unity they've updated to, they've always still got the same issues in the background. They've always got networking issues, netcode issues, desync issues in the game. You've got the invisible player bug, things like that. And I think some of this is because every time they've moved to a newer version of Unity, they're simply applying the same game into it. So they're bringing all of the good code with them, but they're also bringing all of the bad code with them. So this time around they've tried to chop out all of the bad code by completely rewriting the core code of the game. So once they do update to Unity 2021, Nikita has said that we may see some issues to begin with. Obviously they're going to be on new code, it's going to be in the newer version of Unity, so he says he expects there to be some stability issues. There may be some issues in even getting into the game or playing the game, but again, that's just par for the course in Escape from Tarkov, and he said that they will be ready to sort of crush any of the bugs and the issues that they have, which, fair play to Battlestate Games, they do tend to jump on game breaking issues pretty quickly, notwithstanding the invisible player bug and things like that, but things server side which slow, you know, people down getting on, they do tend to jump on those pretty quickly and get them sorted. So as a benefit to Battlestate Games, they're going to be able to implement new technologies into the game a lot easier. Obviously at the moment the version of Unity that they're on is no longer supported by Unity, so Battlestate Games are kind of winging it on the current version. They're struggling to get sort of help with adding things in. Moving over to this newer version will afford them the luxury of having assistance from Unity themselves to add new things in. So it'll allow them to add new technologies in. We'll get better integration with graphical engines. Obviously, we're going to have probably newer versions of DLSS and FSR which will be supported. Better anti-cheat will be supported. Better sound modules will be supported, so Oculus may actually work better, although Nikita says that it's a work in progress with the sound, and I will be doing a separate video on all of that in due course. But we could also be looking at newer things being added into the game, such as Nvidia's frame generation, which is supported by the 40 series cards, where the game basically uses the AI cores on the card to drop in extra frames into the game, making it a hell of a lot smoother, giving us an FPS boost. That could be a benefit of moving over to Unity 2021 eventually. But I think to begin with, the benefits will be all on Battlestate's side. They're just going to be able to better work with the game, adding things in, finding and sorting out issues with the game. Obviously, they're going to be on this new code, so we should see things like desync become significantly lower. We should also see the RAM leakage issue get tackled, and Nikita said they should be able to entirely sort that out eventually. It's been very prevalent since the patch 13, so hopefully that will get tackled with this newer version of Unity 2021. But overall, as players, probably won't see huge benefits to begin with, but they should start to trickle down eventually, and we should see a better put together game. Now, I know a lot of people out there will be laughing, you know, this is Escape from Tarkov, it never works the way Nikita says it is going to work. But watching Nikita on the podcast, he seems staunchly to believe that this will be a game changer for Escape from Tarkov. He's spoken about how this newer version of Unity and the new rewritten code allows better support for things in the game, and he also spoke about how it allows for better support for numbers of players in the game. So of course they've got Arena coming out later this year. It looks like Arena has been completely coded in Unity 2021 to begin with. I don't think they ever started coding it in the older Unity, or if they did, they've ported it over on the Quiet. And he said that this game runs very, very smooth. It looks amazing, and this is going to be sort of ported over to Escape from Tarkov with the inclusion of Unity 2021. And he says eventually that, along with the rewritten core code, will allow them to support up to 60 players in Streets of Tarkov. Now, he said that any map in the game would be able to support 60 players once they move over to this new netcode and new Unity, but obviously you're not going to get 60 players on Factory or anything like that. The amount of players that you get will always be relative to the size of the map. But he says once Streets of Tarkov is fully released, it will support up to 60 players on this new code. So yeah, I mean, you've got to remember that at the moment we've just got one chunk of Streets of Tarkov. There are up to 4 or 5 more chunks of the game to be released yet. Of the map to be released yet. The next chunk of the map we're looking at some point this year. Some people are saying it's going to be Christmas time when we get that wipe, when we'll get the next chunk. Could be as early as the mid-year wipe. We'll have to wait and see. We're sort of approaching the sort of mid-wipe at the moment, so we were looking at a wipe maybe sometime in the back end of June, beginning of July time, so we might get that then. But the point is that he said that it'll comfortably support 60 players and more if they wanted it to, so we could eventually see player caps increased on some of the maps. So for instance, Reserve, Shoreline, Interchange, you know, the bigger maps that we've got out there could maybe see player increases on them, but we'll have to wait and see for that. But the overall takeaway is that initially we might not see any sort of performance boost from the move over to Unity 2021, but for Battlestate games it will give them better control over the game, and we should see things start to filter down, hopefully not too long after the move over to Unity 2021. So I'm excited for it. I think it's good time for Escape from Tarkov, even though there are a lot of people out there saying the game's dead, the game's this, the game's that. It's not. It's just in one of those points where things need to be rolled out to kick on the development of the game, and they're slowly going to get rolled out throughout the rest of this year. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.